Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge podcast. My name's Josh. Thanks for joining me. Today we're talking about Whitney Leavitt. She does an interview with these two people who do interviews. I guess it's a pretty big deal, I don't know. But I've been waiting for this interview because she didn't go on the one with Nick Viall, probably because she's hated by a lot of people, so she just kind of picked and chose who she thought would agree to her parameters, probably to the interview, I guess. I don't know. Let's take a look at it. So Whitney Leavitt, also known as the girl who did this dance, is on a show called Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and is painted as the villain and is the villain, although in my opinion, almost all of them are effing villains. Like there are top three villains in my... I don't like Macy. I think she's a snake in the grass. I think she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Taylor... I don't like Taylor. I think that Taylor doesn't deserve forgiveness for throwing chairs at her children getting arrested, and people seem to be overlooking that and like, it's a mistake. Because again, if the tables were turned and it was a dude who did that, he'd be in jail right now. Okay? I don't like the double standard. It's bullshit. And then you got Whitney, who is the one painted as and I mean, deservedly so, actually. And then even the producers hate her, but you can tell that the producers are actually trying their best to also really, really frame it that she's worse than she probably is, like with the toilet paper thing on her shoe. The interview when her and what's her face, Demi's also a villain. I've only watched up to episode 4. Maybe we'll watch episode 5 tonight. But yeah, nobody in the show is a good person. Like that's for sure. Like the truth of the matter is they all claim this religious thing, and it's for their own like feel-goodedness. I don't know what you call that. Your own like self-felt good. I feel good because I'm a Christian, quote unquote, a Mormon. None of them are actually practicing Mormons. None of them practice anything that Mormon culture has that they should be doing, right? And even though Mormons are a cult, which makes it bad, at least they have moral standings, right? They have moral rules and laws that are pretty normal, right? You know, no sex before marriage, you shouldn't drink, shouldn't do this and that. Then they have stupid rules like magic underwear, don't drink coffee, stupid stuff like that, right? Their heaven is weird. It is culty, but they have some standard things, and literally none of these women adhere to them. Neither do their husbands, probably, right? They joke about it all. I'm surprised the Mormon Church hasn't come out against this, because this, as much as we all know the Mormon Church is bad, at least they still have some semblance of like they don't look bad to everybody, and these ladies are making them look really bad. So I'm glad about that. Anyway, all that to say, Whitney is a drama queen. She thrives in drama. She probably is mightily alone at home, considering her husband is likely gay. With all the allegations of being on Grindr and Tinder and everything else, and how they explained it, how he's confused, and the PRN he's watching, he's confused, all this kind of stuff. And so she likely lives in a little bubble of her own making, and she has trauma from it, and this is her way of overcoming, because we met her parents, her mom especially, in the kitchen. They seem pretty normal, right? So Whitney's just is that friend in your friend group that nobody likes. Like, she's part of it, but then as soon as you make plans, nobody invites her, and then when someone does, you're like, damn it, why did you invite her? That's who Whitney is. And I think truly in this group is that person. I think one of two things are going to happen with this show coming out. She's going to have a major self-reflection, and she's going to change, right? Don't forget, there's pretty young ladies. They're not super old. They're in their 30s. I didn't actually fully mature till I was in my 30s, just because it could be ADHD or whatever we want to call it, trauma response from my childhood. But maybe she's going to have a major awakening one day and realize that nobody likes you, and she's going to have to make a change, or she's not going to have anybody in her life, including family, right? She's probably have to divorce her husband and let him go do his thing. She's going to have a major awakening. I think some of these ladies are going to have a major awakening. And some of them won't. Some of them will just get worse. So, the show is, the reason I enjoy the show is the drama, and it's fun. I should probably put these on because I can't like see anything right now. It's drama and it's fun, but at the same time, it's very, very. I'm a person that is studious of people. I like to people watch. I like to understand, and this show is. I know most of it is written and it's fake and it's like egged on by producers, but it's something to watch where you're like, if people are actually like this, I'm scared for humanity. Because I don't know anybody like this in my life. I don't think so. And I grew up in a Christian church, and with a little bit of drama here and there were people that like in the peripheral of my church upbringing were like assholes, that like leaders in the church and stuff that were kind of like this, but not like, I would never make friends with people like this. That seems insane to me, which is why I think it's all fake. Anyway, so Whitney comes on the show and she does an interview with these people, and I guess we're going to take a look at it.
And I think it's obviously still hard to talk about.
We were initially talking to your team about this. My gut reaction was to say no. The integrity of our podcast, and
that's the guy from Twilight. That's Taylor Lautner. That's a Twilight guy. Wasn't he on Matt and Abby's podcast? Ugh.
It is a mental health.
Is he not an actor anymore? I thought he was like an actor. He was a heartthrob, was he not?
Podcast. We don't like doing things for a headline, for a click.
This is his wife, I guess.
But at the same time, everyone deserves a chance to say their side in a
holy cuts. The cuts.
Safe space.
After watching it, do you say, I have any regrets?
Oh man.
Macy and I have
You
talked.
talked about that this morning.
Yes. I hated that I had made that hurt worse.
What?
Wait, was it Macy or Demi that they were arguing?
What made you remove yourself from the group chat?
Why you...
What's this? What? Like the drama of you removed yourself from the group chat. This is like the biggest, apparently craziest thing the whole show. That she removed herself from the group chat. What the hell? Again, send the damn asteroid. Oh my God, who cares?
think the public has that opinion?
I willingly did that, which I wish I didn't.
But that is something that you wish you could take back.
Absolutely. You'll need to have control.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Do you see how it could have come across insensitive to some people?
Have you had...
He's still mighty handsome. Let's be real. Okay? Great head of hair. Good jawline. Great facial hair. Still good looking.
this conversation with her?
I haven't.
Do you have any
If they bring back the movie, you think he'll be in it? The relaunch?
desire?
20 years later? Or like 300 years later, they're still living? No, he's a wolf. Do wolves live forever? I don't remember. So that's his wife for sure. That was weird. I don't understand if it's called the squeeze, why they're walking away from each other. They should be squeezed. It should say the squeeze, and they should walk into it and kiss or hug, and then the squeeze is eliminated. That's the opposite of what a squeeze is. Just saying. Noticing things. With Taylor Lautner and Taylor Lautner. Her name is Taylor Lautner. They did that on purpose. He looked for someone named Taylor. If they named their kid Taylor, I'll be upset.
Whitney, welcome to the
Can't you call one Taylor and one Tay-Tay or something like that?
squeeze.
Thanks for having me. Seriously, thank you.
We're excited to talk to you today.
I'm going 120.
You know, this type of an interview is not
Maybe
one that
130.
we necessarily do. You know, when we were initially talking to your team about this, my gut reaction was to say no.
Yeah.
I would have said no too. No, I wouldn't. I would put Whitney, come on the show. I would love to see. I would love to hear the actual true side. I want to ask questions about how the sausage is made in a reality television show that none of us see. And I'm surprised none of them come out, especially Zach's parents. They hate how Zach has been painted, apparently. I have not seen that episode yet. I think it's coming up when the next one I'm watching. Why don't they just come out and say, this is how the producers do it? Just tell everybody, because I think they're in contract not allowed to.
Just because of, you know, the integrity of our podcast, and, you know, it is a mental health podcast, and we don't like doing things for, you know, for a headline, for clickbait.
Yeah.
They could be right. I just want to save myself.
But at the same time, you know, everyone deserves a chance to say their side in a safe space, and we wanted to
And we have lemons.
give you that opportunity
So
here.
use lemons to do it.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Really.
of course. I mean, at the end of the day, like, yeah, we're not a...
They're using MV7s, not SM7Bs. Like, okay, like call yourself a podcast. Sorry.
tabloidy podcast.
Yeah.
But mental health is for everyone. So
Well, they're not. Then why would you bring a reality television star on to talk about mental health? This isn't real. And what is her, like, they say we don't, like, again, I think that they went against what this Taylor girl is saying, is like, we went against it, and she's actually saying the truth. She's like, we shouldn't have had her on. And I think they turned the comments off on this video, by the way. Where is it? Yeah, this one is 248,000 compared to, like, you know, Chris Olsen with 4.6 thousand, or Chris Olsen and Jennifer, like, they don't have to get many views. They bring her on because they want to increase their viewership, right? But... I mean, that, I don't know why people lie about that stuff. You want to increase your viewership on YouTube. It gives you a louder voice. Why not keep it, right? So they got the comments on probably most of their videos, except for this one, because again, I think, look, comments are off. I think Whitney said, if I'm going to come on anybody's podcast, here are my rules. Who wants me? And they shopped it around until they found a podcast that would agree to it. That was a larger podcast. I think Whitney just wants comments off. I don't think that's fair. It's a mental health podcast. When you let people talk, you're talking about things in a safe space, but yet you can't have comments on? Shouldn't have had her on then. That's it. Now I'm Team Edward.
Oh, I mean, this is your, it's your real life.
Yeah.
This is, like, you know, that's the hard part sometimes about television, and especially, like, reality shows, I feel like, is people being able to separate, like...
It's almost like they disassociate the person that the viewer is disassociating themselves with what they're seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, wait a second, this is, like, actually real life.
Yeah.
These are things that really happened. And I think if you were to, like, kind of how we are now, to actually sit with that person, you would have had a completely different reaction with them sharing their vulnerable personal story. Yeah. No, it's true. And we know that you haven't done, like, a lot of press.
That's on purpose.
And what made you, like, want to come here with us today? So,
well, you were the biggest one who agreed to all my parameters.
So from the beginning, I was doing press. But what happens is the person that's interviewing you has seen the show, but I hadn't. And so
why haven't I noticed that too, especially in the Nick Viall stories. Why didn't they get to watch it first? That seems really weird to me. Or is it because they send out screeners to, like, press to watch it first, but they are in the show. They should be able to watch it. That seems sus.
As I'm getting interviewed, I'm getting asked certain questions, and I'm like, I just felt a little thrown off. Because I'm like, what an interesting question to ask me. Like, why are you asking me that question? Like, so many questions I get asked, like how I feel about Taylor. And I'm like, I have no issues with Taylor. I think she's amazing.
Well, you have issues with Taylor. You said it in that damn show when you open up all the box of Pandora.
I think she's a great girl. And then you could tell they would because they've seen the show. Yeah. So I just set a little boundary saying, you know what? I don't want to do any more press until I've actually seen the show.
You're stupid for doing press without seeing the show.
And then I saw the show, and I needed a little bit of time before I wanted to talk about the show.
Yeah. I would too. You're an idiot.
It was hard to watch. Yeah. Sitting here now, like, are you ready to, like, talk about it? Do you feel like enough time has gone by? Yeah, I feel ready. I feel in a healthy place to share my truth and share my side. I'm really excited.
My truth. Whenever someone says my truth, it's usually lies.
Good. Awesome.
Since how long
Sweet sweater
ago did the show come out?
Wow. It was today's Wednesday, so it wasn't last Friday. It was the Friday. 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's almost like I needed that week to just, like.
In the last 2 weeks since the show aired, what has life looked like for you?
The first week was very dark. It may not have looked like that on social media.
I don't want to hear people complain about going on a reality television show and being painted a certain way when you got paid likely tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everybody keeps forgetting that these women aren't just doing this for fun. This is their lifestyle. They are influencers, and they get paid enormous amounts of money to do it. So I don't want to hear like, oh, sorry, Taylor, Whitney. You get paid so much effing money to do this. Spare me. Okay? Spare us all.
But it was very dark place. I had received massive amount of hate before in the past with Liam being in the hospital. And so I feel like I've been able to deal with that better, but it was more so from my other friends. It was that hate that was probably the hardest to see.
Yeah. Doing that dance of your baby with RSV in the hospital, you deserve every bit of hate you get. That's influencer culture in a nutshell, where people, it doesn't matter what the content is, especially when it comes to children. That gets me. And I don't think you should ever be forgiven for that. Like, honestly, don't. Your kid is going to have to live with that viral moment for the rest of its life because you're a selfish asshole.
Yeah.
And dear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess now, watching the show back. Oh, have you watched the show? I've only watched it once. My husband hasn't even watched it. He refuses to.
Because he's like, they say I'm gay, don't they?
He's like, no, I'm not even going to watch it. I think because he saw what it did to me. He's like, I think, Healthy boundary.
Okay, now, here's the thing. Nice pause screen. Here's what I'm going to say. She's talking about how it destroyed her and her husband won't even watch it. If she shows up in season 2, then she's a damned liar. Right? If it affected her this badly in her mental health and it didn't portray her in a good light and all this stuff, and she shows up in season 2, then you know it's about the money. You know it's had nothing to do with anything else except for money. And there's no other way to argue that.
I'm not going to watch it. But of course, I told him everything that happened in the show. So it's almost like he did watch it. Yeah, I've only seen it once.
Why would you watch it more than once?
I guess, was it shocking to you that you were like the villain of the season, or were you kind of hearing things and you were like somewhat expecting?
I was expecting it from the press that I was doing. I was like, okay, I must be the bad guy.
You are
something.
What do you mean must be?
Yeah. And again, I felt like I couldn't answer these questions properly because I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. I need to watch it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long? Because I know the first episode was filmed and then time went by and then like the rest of the season was filmed. What was that like time span?
So actually, I know it's so funny because everyone's like, gosh, when you change your hair so much. I'm like, yeah, I do. But don't
change your
forget
hair like
that
20
we filmed
times.
the pilot. And then about 2 years later, then we filmed the season.
Oh, 2
So it's a mixture
years!
of the pilot and the season just in the first episode.
So that goes to show that the only reason they picked it back up is because literally Taylor got arrested for domestic violence. That's what got them rewarded the rest of the show. Oh, someone got arrested for domestic violence? Green light! That's where we are with television. That's disgusting. That is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So everyone's like, well, can we change your hair? I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say to change my hair a lot. I went through a little skit. Oh my gosh, help me say this.
This is the only normal thing she's ever worn, and it's ugly.
Spaghetti. Oh my gosh.
Spaghetti?
Sabbatical.
Oh, sabbatical.
Holy hell. Sabbatical.
Cankles.
Changing my hair. I just was having fun because I never like ventured out in different colors, and then it took a little too far.
You were feeling it.
Yeah.
From episodes 2 to 8, then what was that? How long of a span was it?
That was all congruent in the timeline.
Okay.
We had filmed for about 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
You're filming every day. They're just getting, because so much of it isn't even shown in the season.
Also, so much of it is I'm like, okay, how do we get drama out of these girls? Okay, let's do this Pandora's box video where like, why do you hate people? And then argue. That's all producer stuff that no one in the right mind does shit like that.
You do film, they do take a lot out. But yeah, you're filming every day. It can get very overwhelming and very exhausting to a point where you almost forget that you're even being filmed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can believe that. I can believe that to the point where you actually just become so comfortable with the cameras. I can believe that.
I wondered that with like reality.
Yeah.
If because I mean I guess I was gonna ask like, is it really like I would imagine like you got cameras in your face and like it's hard to have like real conversations when that there's lights and crew and like how does that feel on set?
In the beginning, for sure, I was like more aware of it. But then you're just so busy and you're having so many different conversations every single day that you just forget. And they keep their distance. They're really good at that because they want you to feel comfortable to be yourself and talk about real issues with your friends or spouses.
Yeah.
After watching it back finally.
Yeah.
Do you watch it and say, I have any regrets?
Unfortunately, so much happened during that season that put me in a dark place that's what made it hard to watch too. Because
it's your own doing. And Macy. Is it Macy? Or is it Demi? I think it's Macy. Who was the one that she was arguing with that got all... Who was the cereal vag one? Is that Macy? Or is it Demi?
Of course, there were decisions that I made during that show that nobody asked me to do. Like, I willingly did that. But there was no context behind why I had made certain decisions.
Like what?
But again, that's the game, I guess. I don't know. But I would say the biggest thing... I don't know. There's so much.
Yeah, just say some regrets and get it over with.
Should we go from the very first episode?
Sure.
I don't even know. Starting from the very first episode, the very first scene, at least that I'm in, that's actually from the pilot. And the video that we're talking about is not the video of the scandal. It's a completely different video that Michaela and I got upset about because Taylor and Macy had made a video. Or Taylor mainly did, so many Taylors. Taylor did, and Macy was in it, insinuating that Macy was the only one there for her during this swinger scandal. So that upset me, and Michaela, because we did vouch for her, and we got hate because of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that big of a deal. It really wasn't. But that was the video.
The swinging was it, or the video?
But it makes it seem like I'm upset about this whole swinger scandal. So when I'm doing this press, and they're asking me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, like not a big deal. Maybe if I was involved, I would have thought differently, but whatever. Like, it gave eyes to my page. Like, so then when I'm saying that, they're responding to me like, this is so confusing. Yeah, that's not the video.
I'm already confused.
I was upset about. I think that she's grown so much from it, and I'm happy for her. Yeah, didn't judge her.
You think Taylor has grown so much from the swinging scandal? Are you serious? You think she's grown? So let's take a look at her growth curve, shall we? So she swings and cheats on her husband, and whatever, it's bound to happen. Okay, it is what it is. They all made choices, and they all suffer for the consequences. Not just Taylor, but everybody in the family, mostly the kids, right? So then her next step was, like, months later after the divorce, is to go with a fentanyl addict. Okay, and then literally get into this fiery relationship with this guy and have his baby. And then, like, before the baby, get arrested for domestic violence and throwing chairs and everything else, and probably hitting your child. I think that's the case here. That's why she got arrested. And then had his baby after, like, multiple breakups, and now they're broken up again. You think that she has grown from her bad choices? Are you sure? I think that you're looking at it from rose-colored glasses. You need to put on some real glasses.
For it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else from any other?
Yeah.
I mean, this is, you have the mic.
Yeah.
I have this set at 130% speed, and it's still slow.
Oh, man. Yeah. It was funny. After I had watched the whole season, I almost, like, had, like, my own therapy session. I had to, like, write out my whole truth because I thought I was going crazy.
Again, remember, when you write out your whole truth, everybody, it's probably a lie.
But another thing that happened it was actually kind of funny, or at least I try and laugh about it, but the Fruity Pebbles incident. I never thought in a million years I'd be putting those words together, but the Fruity Pebbles incident, I had called Demi ahead of time.
It's Demi.
Asking if it was okay, because I knew that was a sensitive and very private sexual innuendo.
So then what'd you put on the damn show for?
Between their relationship. I didn't want to cross a boundary.
And yet you did. I don't like when people say, I didn't want to do this, but then they did it. You don't get to come back later and say, I didn't want to. Yes, you did, because you did it.
So I called her and I asked her, and they thought it was funny, her and her husband. So the reason I'm upset in that episode is because she reacted in a way that she was offended. So
but you asked her.
I had felt sabotaged. I was going in my head like, oh my gosh. Like,
so you called Demi, is that you're telling me, and asked Demi if you could bring Fruity Pebble cereal as the sexual innuendo that she didn't want anybody to know about. And you're telling us she said, yes, bring it. And then when you brought it, she got upset with you. Is that what you're saying? Because she's really confusing when she says that. Watch how she says that.
Was this a decision you made to make me look bad on purpose? Like, so that's why you see that reaction. It wasn't because she was upset. Oh my gosh, no. If I had given someone a gift and they were genuinely upset about it, I would feel not only embarrassed, but so horrible that I had done that.
Yeah.
But that's why.
So it's on Demi now to come out and be like, no, she didn't call me and ask me. Because Whitney is saying right now, I called her and asked her ahead of time. Did I just say asked? Oh my God, asked her ahead of time if she could do it. So now Demi has to come out and say, no, she didn't. Because then she's going to have to call Whitney's lie out. Because I can't imagine, after hearing her say that, this is Demi's big sexual innuendo, it's a very secret, that Demi would say, yeah, bring it out in this national television show we're about to put out. But also Demi's a dish.
I was upset in that episode, in the first couples incident. Right. Yeah.
So what do you think happened? Like, if you have that conversation with her and she seemed fine with it, then do you know what changed? And
I don't know. And I think, unfortunately, I had built a little bit of resentment from such a silly little thing from that moment, because a mistake that I did make, and I still wish I didn't do that, was bringing up when I told Jen that Demi had called her too Mormon-y and all.
That was crazy. Imagine being upset someone calls you too Christian, too Mormon-y. Why are you upset? That's your whole life is like, I want to be Mormon. I want to be like Joseph Smith's favorite. And someone calls you too Mormon and you get mad about it. They got mad about it too. Like, they were pissed.
Also that Demi had called Taylor white trash. I willingly did that.
You were backed against the corner, and that's what you do when you're a dick.
Which I wish I didn't.
So that is something that you wish you could take back.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't even there when Demi had said that about Taylor. And I wasn't even the one who initially told Taylor. But I had found out, and I brought it onto the show.
It's so gross that this again, there's no way that they are friends. It's impossible that they're friends. They're together to make money, and it's a business relationship. None of them are friends.
And I wish I didn't do that, because then it just got worse from there, you know?
It is just interesting, like, hearing, like, I don't know any of you ladies, you all seem lovely, and it just seems like,
Don't lie, Taylor. Other Taylor. They are not lovely. None of them are lovely, okay? They are all literally full of drama and Botox. None of them are polite.
At the end of the day, I think people need to remember, like, it is a reality show.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And, like, they're, you do things for the plot, and you do, like, producers will have you do something, and you don't really, like, know the full context of what's going on.
Well, and I will also say, though, like, they can't make you do anything, At the end of the day, you have your free agency. You get to make certain decisions.
Yeah.
And every decision I made, whether I felt like it was expected of me, I still made it.
I can't believe she's sitting here saying that producers didn't put their, like, 2 cents in or try to, like, egg on or say, do this, do that. There's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially after they greenlit the rest of the episodes after 2 years. Like, it sounded like they shelved that shit. And the only thing that brought it back was this massive drama with Taylor. That's insane to me.
What is
So it makes me wonder if it was manufactured.
your relationship like with the girls?
So I'm great with Macy and Taylor. I have no ill feelings towards any of the other women.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
I think they're great. I think that all of them have such wonderful stories. I genuinely feel that way.
Again, what are their stories? They soaked in college and then married dudes when they're low teens? Yeah? Okay.
And I'm excited for more seasons to go on, because there was a lot of personal stories from individual women that were cut out from the show that are very strong, and I know a lot of other people can relate to.
What stories?
So yeah, I have no ill feelings towards them. And I wish them the best. But I definitely am the closest with Taylor and Macy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
When's the last time, like, you talked with the group, or maybe just, like, the girls?
It was right before the show was released. We went out to LA for... It wasn't a premiere, but it was like a premiere party where, like, influencers came. We were all wearing red. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of us all in red.
Yeah, you look ridiculous in that dress. You look ridiculous.
Watch party?
Yeah. Well, we actually didn't even watch it.
Oh.
But it was just like, yeah, we didn't even watch it, but we just celebrated it.
Okay.
And then the show came out a couple days later. Is the last time I, like, really hung out with all of them.
I want to, like, talk about some things that I feel like people have observed, and honestly questions that we have and people that we have talked to, and I know a lot of people on the internet, like, have. It's been interesting to, obviously, I've watched interviews that the girls have done.
Yeah.
Watched the show. And I feel like a consensus that they have is, like...
Just ask the question. Holy shit, do we need the preamble?
That you feel a need to have control over everything.
Yes.
Which I think, could be something that someone struggles with, and that's fine. But do you feel like there is truth to that?
Yeah, I do definitely feel like it makes me feel safe when I feel like I can control something, which is also something that I'm working on, because you can't control everything. You can't control what somebody...
You can control when you dress like... Sad. And you dress funny the whole thing.
We're living it right now. I can't
You can control the size of your sleeves.
control what the other women are going to say about me, or, the hurtful videos that they're going to make about me. I can't control that. And so I feel like what I have learned from that is focusing on what just I can control, rather than controlling a whole scenario or situation or whatever. Because, yeah, everyone has their own free agency.
Yeah. I want to talk about the, removing yourself from the group chat, from certain situations, and expecting, the other girls to, like, check in on you.
Yeah. I had no expectations. There was a scene when we're in Park City when Taylor and I are conversing, and it's, becoming a level-headed conversation, and Demi comes up.
Yeah, Demi. It's Demi.
And I know I expressed, like, I don't feel like you were there for me during the time of when Connor and I were going through our issues, because Taylor was kind of...
Who cares if she wasn't there? Who cares? Like, why hash it up now? It's over. Who cares? Then don't hang out with them if she wasn't there for you. That's clearly not your friend then. Who gives a shit? Clearly the person isn't your friend, so why do you want to confront them? Hey, clearly you're not my friend, so why are you not my friend? Because I'm not your friend! The end!
Going through it as well at the same time. But I had no expectation. I was just making it aware, like, and yeah, like, this sucked. Like,
Yeah.
I did need more support at that time, but I feel like it was so, like, is brought into the right word. I don't know, like, that I'm always expecting this attention from separating myself. No. And I didn't even separate myself until after that. Mm-hmm. Until after I had communicated that. So that had nothing to do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, none of this makes any sense.
Okay.
What made you remove yourself from the group chat?
So
Here it is. Oh my God, here comes the big scandal. You removed yourself from the group. There's so many other scandals.
there were scenes that were taken out. More scenes of us being together in a group. But what had set me probably in the darkest place was when, okay, I'm not gonna cry.
You're probably gonna cry. Let's go!
Okay, so we were in Park City and we had this truth box. And
That was so stupid.
in that moment, that's when Demi felt attacked. I know she felt that way. I could see it. And I hated that I had even put stuff in that room for that to come about. And then after that, because that was me bringing the white trash thing on the show and also the two Mormony to Jen.
Yeah.
But after that, when Taylor and I had gone up, Demi had shared a very personal and very vulnerable story of mine that I had no idea she had shared until that evening. Because that scene where I have like toilet paper on my heel and we're all at that dinner, I like couldn't compose myself because right before that, Macy had asked me if it was true. And I just couldn't believe that.
You couldn't believe that everybody's spilling tea about everybody and gossiping, that they would spill tea and gossip about you? Is that what you're saying to say here? Is that yeah? These assholes, including you, are all sitting here doing the exact same thing to each other, and you can't believe that they would do it when you did it? Okay. These people are immature, right?
I'm a human being. Like, I just couldn't believe that, regardless of you telling the other women, that you had brought that on a national television show.
But she didn't. You brought up cereal vag on a national television show, and you admitted that it wasn't, like, she didn't want that.
And I think
Here we go.
it's obviously still hard to talk about. But I think if Demi knew how dark that moment was, me being under that treatment, and how hard that was for me, and vulnerable that was for me, I don't think she would have shared it. I really don't. But I also know she was angry with me because of me telling Jen about the two Mormony and the white trash thing.
It's crazy. Imagine these were your problems. Imagine these are your problems. There are people out there dying. There are people out there who can't afford food, can't afford their bills. They don't know where they're going to live. They are so worried about feeding their children. There's so much garbage out there, like violence in the streets and like everything going on. And these are your problems. Someone said I was too Mormony. Shut up.
But after that, it just put me in a really dark place. And after that moment, that's when I started slowly separating myself. There were more things that happened after that until it was like, okay, like I fully need to separate myself. Like I'm just not in a healthy place. But that was the first thing where I was like, man, like, I don't know if I can do this. Like,
You shouldn't. You should walk away right now. Stop talking about it and just like don't give them what they want. If you really, really want to pay them back for being a bunch of dickholes on the show to you and the producers, don't do any press. Don't talk about it ever again. Completely walk away from it. That would be like their worst nightmare. If you just completely ignore it, be like, look, I'm better than that. I don't even want to talk about it. It's dark time in my past. I shouldn't have done the show. The show's shitty. They edited out a bunch of crap that made me look, and they put only stuff that made me look bad because I was bad. But anyway, you have all the power here, Whitney. And I know you maybe don't want to hear it. Stop talking about it. Be like, I have nothing to do with that show anymore. No, they were deceptive in their editing. They're deceptive about everything. Those girls they kept things out that made them look bad, but kept things in and made me look bad, even though everybody looks bad. And just, that's it. Leave one statement, be like, I will no longer be talking about this stupid show. Don't ask me about it. And if you leave a comment, I'm going to delete it. I don't want anything to do with it. That is their worst nightmare. You're adding to this because, and again, if she shows up in season 2, I don't want to hear about any of this. She's sitting here crying about it, being all like, they edited it wrong. Then don't go on the second season.
that was such a vulnerable and personal thing in my life that I felt like was taken away from me. But again, I really do believe that if she knew how dark that place was, I don't think she would have shared it.
Have you had this conversation with her?
Mm-hmm. I haven't.
Do you have any desire to?
I mean, maybe in the future. I'm and I know it was months ago, but there was a scene that was filmed between Demi and I where I had apologized for saying those things. It wasn't in the show, but I really did feel bad.
Right.
About the white trash and
and the two Mormon thing, yeah.
Two Mormon.
Apologize to her for that.
Yeah, we sat down together. We got together for lunch, and
Was it filmed?
it was.
It just wasn't in the cut.
It just wasn't in the cut, yeah. And we had talked about it, and I felt bad because she was also going through a really hard time with her mom. Her mom, her mom's cancer came back, and she had just found out the news that night, right after, all of this came up, after she was blindsided. So I felt bad, and I genuinely think you never know what someone's going through. You just never know.
Shut up. You do know. You're filmed 24 hours a day for the show, so.
For sure.
And there's a reason why we do certain things. There's a reason why we say certain things or act on certain things. And I hated that I had made that hurt worse.
Yeah. I don't know anything that just happened here. I don't know. I'm listening, playing with a tiny hand. I don't know anything that just happened. 130% speed I had this on. It's still the most lame, boring interview I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Not by Taylor and Taylor. They're good. They ask good questions and stuff very slowly. But yeah.
Is Mom Talk still a thing?
Can it survive this?
Can Mom Talk survive this? I love that so much. Yeah, I think it will forever be a thing. I think it's not just an us thing. I know that there are other moms that get together and they call it Mom Talk and they'll create content in different states, and I love it. I think it will
You don't love it. Probably sue them for infringement.
forever be a thing.
But would you still want to be involved in Mom Talk?
With that group of women. I think that
Depends on how much you're going to pay me to be in season 2.
so many conversations would need to be had because
Through contract negotiations.
I just there's been this huge miscommunication and everybody thinks
So she's going to be like, look, I'll be in season 2, but I get editing rights. That's the only way she'll be in there.
we're out to get each other or something. I don't know. And I hate that.
You are! The whole show is!
Again, care for these women, only want the best for them. And I think just, it's so hard. We're human beings. It's so hard not to get in your head and overthink things. I mean, I did that while we were filming. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Macy, because I feel this, I feel a connection with her.
Yeah.
I don't know her.
You
but
feel a connection with Macy, the snake? That says a lot about you. Macy is the damn snake. I don't care what anybody says. And I will be proven right. You watch.
I feel like I just relate to her a lot. I'm always, our running joke between the two of us is I'm always the devil's advocate. I'm always being well, maybe this person is having this or whatever. And I see that, on the show, Macy, doing that for you. And
No, Macy's doing it to cause drama between people. She lights a fuse and walks away. That's what that is. That's not someone being concerned. That's someone lighting a drama fuse on a drama TNT and walking away so she doesn't get any of the fallout from it. That's what that is.
And, even still today with doing interviews and things and, standing up for you and, giving
Take a drink and she says,
Do you regret not going to her event and maybe just in hindsight, do you wish you would have gone? What is some context there?
So a few days prior to her event, I'd sent her a message, which I really wish I didn't put on the internet, but I did. I went into defense mode during that part.
Yeah, she posted it. These people are trying to be adults, yet they're posting private messages on the internet to their strangers that watch them. To strangers that watch them. That's where they are. That's what they do.
First week. But I texted her a few days prior and just expressing I hate that this is the situation, but I'm not in a place to be around these women. Just because every time I'd been around them, I just felt attacked every time. Mm-hmm. Again, everyone's going to have their own perspective, but that's just how I felt in those moments. And I just wasn't in a place to go and do that again. Mm-hmm. And
shut up. She did it for attention.
It just sucks. It just sucks that I wasn't in a place. And so I feel I can't regret that because that was the situation I was in. I can't go back and be well, of course if I was in a better place.
You can absolutely regret things because it happened. What? What kind of statement is this? Well, I can't go back and change it now, so I can't regret it. That's stupid. You're dumb for saying that.
Of course I would have shown up. Yeah. And it just sucked. But regardless of me not showing up to her event, I love her. I'll support Baby Mama till the day that I die. Those gummies are freaking amazing. Go check them out. I love them, and she's worked so hard on that, and I'm so proud of her. And and I hate the situation, and that's all I can think of is like, yeah, like the situation just sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you told her that, did she seem receptive towards that and understanding, or?
She didn't respond.
Okay.
And, you know, that could have been a boundary for her, and I wanted to respect that space. And I know that she wishes that I had reached out the day of, but it was almost like I just wanted to completely separate myself from all of it, and I hate that. But I genuinely was rooting for her.
Yeah.
And I was there in spirit.
You genuinely were not rooting for her. You didn't show up.
I'm still rooting for her because, again, she's done so much work in it, and
Baby vitamins.
it's a great business.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when I saw you post your guys' messages, I was like,
Your guys's? Your guys's.
oh,
I know.
yeah, what do you obviously like regret doing that?
Again,
Or
it's like,
do you regret, or what's your feeling behind that?
I know a lot of the women would say this too. I can be very irrational.
Understatement of the Century Award goes to Whitney Shitney Leavitt.
Or, yeah, I can make a decision. Maybe
Why can't she just take responsibility? Be like, yes, I regret it. Why is it so hard for her? No wonder you're the villain. You can't take any personal responsibility. You serious? You wonder why people hate you, Whitney? Imagine she just came out and you look, guys, I was a dickhole in this whole show. I don't want to be that way anymore. I'm done with that. I was wrong. You would have so much more respect from people.
too fast. Like, I need to sit. That's why I'm grateful I took this time to before coming on, because I didn't want to overshare, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't want my emotions to overthrow what was going on. And that's what that was. My emotions took over, and I never meant it as a jab at Macy. I fully meant it as everybody thinks I'm just this horrible friend.
Yeah.
You
I
are.
wanted to clear my name.
No.
And clearly that wasn't the way to go about it.
You're a horrible friend.
Because that just made things worse.
Yeah. After that, what has your conversation been like after you doing that?
Macy and I have talked since then, and it's funny, we actually talked this morning, and it was emotional and loving. We were on the phone for about an hour and a half. And,
Shut up.
And miscommunication, because she really felt like
Miscommunication.
I was taking a jab at her, and that was never my intention.
You talked about that this morning.
Yes, this morning.
Wow.
And
Hey, before I go on this podcast, there's things I can't say.
only because I had seen her in these videos that weren't putting me in the best light, so I was confused. I had no idea that she was upset about that video. And anyways, we had talked about it.
Anyways.
And yeah, it's just so crazy how, I just learned this time and time again. You just gotta freaking have the conversation. If you care about the relationship, sit down, have the conversation, because their perspective can be completely different from yours. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Where do you think, did you feel good after the conversation?
Oh, 1,000%.
Oh my God, you're so boring.
I'm so grateful
But
that we
you
did.
think on both sides?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And her and Taylor have been there for me through all this, and I'm very grateful for that.
It's so interesting that hearing that Taylor has been there for you, because I think the public thinks that it's I know truly the opposite.
She'll comment on my stuff, and people are like, "What are you doing here?" But yeah, she sent me a sweet message just saying hey, thank you so much for being there for me during my hard time. I really want to be there for you, and it really meant a lot to me, because it can, in those moments, it can
It's better start getting good.
be very, very lonely.
Yeah.
Is it possible to, totally fine if it's not, is it possible to pinpoint why you think the public has that opinion of you and Taylor, yet?
You serious? From the instant you see her face, you're like, I don't like this girl. Something about her. It's everybody's gut first before you even hear her talk. It's the sleeves. It's the RSV video. The RSV video, I don't care what anybody says, is one of the most egregious things we have seen on the internet. Next to, remember Jordan Cheyenne, where she had her kid crying in the camera? That keeps going re-viral, by the way, all the time. I had her on my show and talked about it. And I don't think she's exploited her child to the degree. Actually, I don't think at all. Since we talked about it, and I think she kind of learned her lesson. But there's no extent to people that won't go. And these things are unforgivable, in my opinion. Right? If you do that and it's going to live on the internet forever, it's unforgivable. Because you can't just get rid of it. That's out there forever. I literally have it on loop on my live stream video cache.
You're sitting here, talking about this great mutual respect that you guys have for each other.
Yeah. Because when we were having that conversation in Park City, it was very level-headed, and we were coming to a conclusion. We were both seeing each other's sides. I don't know. I really don't. I wish I had the answer to that. I think that it just started from the very beginning of the season, where it made it seem like I'm judging this person off this video when that wasn't the video
That's not what, no one cares about that one.
at all. if anything, I'm like, she's gone through so much, and look at where she's come. Like, she's come up.
No, it's when you're like, I have my husband's gay or something, and then Taylor's like, I'm pregnant, and she's like, how effing dare she? Like, it's me we're talking about? Me, I? That's where everybody started hating you. That moment where you were upset that someone stole your thunder. How are you supposed to be in a group of friends and you're like, you say something and then someone else says something and you're upset that they also wanted to say something? How could you possibly be someone's friend that way? How could you be human? That's where I start. I'm like, bitch.
Great on the other end. Like, I'm so happy for her. I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
So when people press would ask me that and I'd answer, they would just be so confused. I'm like, I'm confused. Like, of course I did have
wearing socks
of ill feelings towards Taylor because I did need a friend during those moments between when Connor and I were going through those issues. But what I needed
You needed a therapist. That's what you needed. Not a friend who makes shitty choices.
to remember is like, well, wait a second. And she says this on the show, like she was also going through her stuff. And, we both were in okay, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, can we talk about Connor?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, please stop talking about me.
Love that man.
Can
Do you?
you just clear the air for us?
Yes.
And, what happened?
Yes. That was another thing. There were a lot of very powerful moments between Connor and I that weren't in the season.
You seen that guy?
Which is okay. I'm not the editor. But there's this moment where we were filming the pilot and the showrunner asked us a specific question. He asked us about Hawaii when we left for Hawaii. And it wasn't, this conversation of us bringing this onto the show wasn't some preconceived conversation that Connor and I had. It was the showrunner asked that question and Connor just looked at me and just shared everything. And it was like so emotional and so vulnerable and like so incredibly powerful.
Oh, we didn't see that, I guess.
And I'm so proud of him for that because that needed to be a decision from him, not from me. I felt like, I know it's my story, but I don't know. It just felt like it needed to come from him. But I don't even know how much to get into it because we went in so much detail that you don't see on the show. But he had a porn addiction for a really long time. And that was something obviously really hard to overcome, something that I didn't even know that was going on. And what's been my favorite thing, and I obviously don't wish this on relationships or marriages, but
Hurry up!
when you go through something that tough and you come out the other end, man, you're really...
Maybe don't say it like that. It's just... Maybe don't say it like that.
Relationship is stronger than ever. It's during it sucks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But holy hell, I'm so grateful for like where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, how
Sounds like it.
how was that time of you?
He asked you to clear it up, and you didn't clear shit up. You said he had a story, and you told that no one ever saw. And so I hope that clarifies things. It doesn't. You didn't say anything. Thanks, though.
You guys trying to build that trust back. How was that for you?
It was a lot of time and it was a lot of work. I know in the
Meanwhile, you're on the internet every day shaking your ass, and the kid has RSV.
season it makes it seem recent, but it wasn't. It was about 3 years ago when I had initially found out. And again, the pilot was, it was about 2.5 years ago because then the pilot was filmed. And so it'd been about 6 months before I told my friends, which is what you see in the pilot, which is in the first episode. But it takes time and it takes a lot of work. And I remember being in therapy and my therapist asked me, he said, before we even dive into this, you need to take the time to decide. You need to decide, is this something you want to work out or is this something you don't want to work out? And it's so weird because I feel like I had never taken a step back and really had thought that for myself. Because I would say not Mormon religion, but Mormon culture, it's no divorce. You were going to work it out.
Yeah.
So initially when I found that out, I was like, oh, absolutely not. I have to work this out.
I'm not listening. This is really shitty.
Divorce isn't even an option. So I'm very grateful for that therapist because I think if I would have just done it just because it was expected of me, we wouldn't be where we are today. It was something I really needed to sit down. Do I want to work this out? Do I want to regain this trust? That doesn't mean that things are still triggering to me. Of course they're going to be. And then when it is, then I'm going to work it out and then I'm going to keep moving forward. Yeah.
I always say going through a rough patch or going through something like that, getting on the other side with, your partner or a friend, whatever that is, it just you feel just so much better about each other. The bond that it builds and
Yes.
knowing that you both equally are willing to
Holy
all of
Lipton!
this together.
I feel that same way with Macy because we've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
And every time the conversations can be hard at times. So then every time I feel like, okay, like if anything, we're just getting closer.
Yeah.
Because we're both putting in an effort in this relationship, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
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 You touched on
You know?
Mormonism. I'd
Yes.
love to kind of like dive into that a little bit.
I forgot to bring my Book of Mormon for you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's good. Imagine you knock on the door and me.
I know.
Standing there.
You know, I was a missionary. I
Were
did
you?
serve a mission.
Oh, wow.
In Atlanta, Georgia.
In Atlanta.
Yeah. I went in and knocked on doors.
What's that hilarious? They go to like, I went to like Low-Income Areas in Atlanta for missions. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
Is that a very naive question here? Is
You're fine.
Do both males and females equally do that, or is it normally?
Yes, they do.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But it's always a choice.
Okay.
You get to choose if you want to go or if you don't want to go. But it used to be the women had to be 21. But it literally changed in 2014. It was either 2013 or 2014 where they changed the age for women to go at 19.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense why a lot of my Mormon friends in high school is the guys that were going.
Yes.
Oh,
because a lot of times, you know, again, in Mormon culture, women are getting married younger. So a lot of times, a lot of them would have already been married before they would have gone on a mission.
That's silly. Live your life.
Yeah.
Like before 21.
Yeah.
And I don't mean go on a mission first before you get married. I mean go live your life.
Exposed to Mormon culture, I feel like is different than even when I started my mission in Georgia. Like the Georgia Mormons there are a bit more exposed to other cultures or drugs or alcohol or whatever. Where in Utah, it's just like,
Is that
everyone
what you mean by culture?
just assume. Like I went to high school, literally everyone was Mormon. I didn't know one person that wasn't Mormon in my high school.
Could you imagine the smell?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
It's just like, dang. She has these nails on. It's like, dang.
Do you think the show did a good portrayal of modern Mormonism?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
No. You don't get to ask the question, did the show give a modern portrayal? That's, no. Do you think you ladies gave a good portrayal of Mormonism? Not the show, you idiots in the show.
I think if anything, the show had less to do about Mormon doctrine and more about these women's lives, and just happen chance we have all either been raised in Mormonism or are currently living Mormonism.
That's a cop-out answer. It's bullshit. None of you are Mormon.
And I think that a lot of people could find someone in the cast that is Mormon.
And you know what? It makes me laugh because if this is what you chose, these are the people that represent. And people in Utah will tell you, and Mormons in Utah will tell you, if they're being honest, that this is exactly what they're really all like. And that's crazy. And they're sitting here thinking, and you make your church, the church that you love so much, look like such shit. And it's so hilarious to me.
They could relate to, like, oh yeah, like I do live this way.
Yeah.
And
I do drink soda. And then that's it.
that is something that's hard for me, but I still consider myself Mormon. Or then, you know, for someone else, like, oh, I love how devout she is. I want to be more like them. I don't know.
Devout. No one on the show is devout. I promise you
That's a
that.
really good question.
How has like the Mormon community, I know that's, you know, a very large word to say, what has the reaction been from about the show from Mormons?
You know,
You go into the comment section and read it. These people are Mormon. That's what they say. They're not Mormon.
I've gone to church since then, and I've had people in my ward come up to me being like, oh, I loved the show. It was
What? I love the show. You're the evil one. Can I have an autograph?
so awesome, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so you say blah, 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 that means you're lying. No, you admitted that you were the villain, and you have people coming to church saying, good job. On what, being the villain? In this holy place that we stand in? You're lying?
Online,
Okay.
it's a lot louder than I think it is in person. It's a lot easier for somebody to get behind the keyboard and say hurtful
I'd say it to your face that you're an asshole.
things. I mean, who knows? It could probably not even
Walk
be
up to your church, be like, hey, God be with you. Also, you're an asshole.
Mormon, but want to just, you know, say something critical. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I try to focus on actual reality and going out in public and being in the Mormon community. And to me, it seems receptive
Yeah.
It's not.
because they watched it and they're like, well, yeah.
I'm
we're
surprised.
not
I'm surprised that some of them haven't been excommunicated. I'm not even lying. I'm surprised they haven't.
sitting down talking about Mormon doctrine. You know, we're not trying to convert people to this religion.
Yeah.
We're just sharing our story, and all of us have had some sort of Mormonism in our lives at one point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the synopsis of the whole thing. Some of us have had some kind of inkling towards Mormonism or have had Mormonism in our life at one point or another. They're not Mormon. That's it right there. They're Mormon adjacent.
Okay, I have a question that I have been dying to ask since like the very beginning of watching the show.
Yeah.
And this is genuinely just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Why can't Mormons have coffee but can have soda?
Yeah. When I go to heaven, that's the first question I'm going to ask.
Is that a common question?
Whitney, let's be real here. You think you're going to heaven? Are you serious right now? When I get to heaven, Whitney just said the words. When I get to heaven,
It is because to people they're like, well, they're both.
you're gonna be a
caffeinated.
floating TK smoothie in your world. You're gonna literally be smooth tainting it, floating like gossiping while you're floating through the air. Get real. When I get to heaven, oh man, that's a good one. Should be comedian there, Shitney.
You know, and I think that's why people think that we can't drink caffeine because of coffee. But that's not the case at all. We can have as much caffeine as we can.
Okay.
But we're advised to stay away from coffee.
Why is that?
I wish I
Hot.
knew that answer.
It's because it's hot.
Yeah.
Hot beverage. You're a Mormon. You don't know the answer. Google it right now. It's a cop out. She knows why because it's ridiculous. Hot drinks are not for the body or belly. Doctrine and Covenants 89:9. All grain is ordained for the use of man and of beasts to be the staff of life. Doctrine and Covenants. Why don't Latter-day Saints drink coffee? A list of hot drinks is one of the harmful substances saying they are not for the body or belly. That's the answer. If she knew that, she'd say it, but there's no answer. They don't do it because it's like, I don't know, it's close to hell, I guess. Your body's hot, but they can sit in hot tubs. It's weird. You can't ingest hot liquid, but you can sit in hot liquid. That's weird. Interesting.
That doesn't help you at all, Taylor. I'm sorry.
Oh man, dang it.
I know.
I did read online, not saying this is true.
Yeah.
I did read online that someone said because it was hot.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Because
Yes, it is. I just read you the scripture for your Doctrine and Covenants or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That
No.
doesn't seem like the truth to you?
No, I mean, when you read it, okay, so it's called the Word of Wisdom. And in there...
No,
gives
it's
us
not. Again, hot drinks are not for the body or belly. Doctrines and Covenants. I'll look for the Word of Wisdom then. She doesn't even know her own theology. Like, what? The only revealed answer to the question of why hot drinks interpreted present in coffee, tea are prohibited in the Word of Wisdom is because God told us they are. Where's the scripture of it, though? Faithful members of the church accept the revelation recorded in the Doctrine and Covenants of Scripture. It's Doctrine and Covenants. It's not Word of Wisdom. She doesn't even know her own theology.
of certain things that we should abstain from.
Right.
Like alcohol, drugs, coffee. But it's stated as hot
And
beverages.
then they
But
do like
later
laughing gas and ketamine. You freaking idiots.
explain that it was relating to coffee. Because, hot beverage could be hot chocolate,
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know the answer to that. But I have friends
Hot
who are
water?
Mormon that drink it.
Tea?
I personally don't drink it. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, thanks, Mormon, for not knowing anything about your religion.
sorry. I wish I knew.
No. What's your favorite soda?
Mormon, I don't believe her because Mormons who go on missions are taught to like argue certain points. They're taught to the hermeneutics. They're taught to legalize, talk about legalese, and they're literally taught to just argue counterpoints. When you go on a mission, you are taught to argue counterpoints. A lot of Mormons are really smart when it comes to their religion. They know they have an answer to every one of your questions, like, why can't you have coffee? Well, here's what it says. And they're really good at it. Why can't you have premarital sex? Why can't you do this? Why do you add things to the Bible when the Bible says do not add or take anything away from this? They have answers to every single question that anybody will ever ask them. And she went on a mission? Do you believe that now? Come on.
Oh, gosh, I'm not a huge soda drinker.
Not a big soda drinker either.
But I love, if you're ever in Utah and you go to Sodalicious, I love the Fighter Refresher. It's sparkling water, and they put a lot of
That's soda.
fun syrups in there. It's so delicious, and it is very refreshing.
Okay.
But I'm not
You're not refreshing.
a huge, I've never been
What's the opposite of refreshing? Because that would be Whitney.
a huge soda drinker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not the biggest soda drinkers.
Yeah.
I like poppies.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I love a sparkling drink.
Yeah,
But I'm not
like
like,
sparkling water.
yeah, like I'm not like a Coke or a Dr.
Okay, well, I'm just going to tell you that soda water is soda.
I'm not one of those drinkers.
Yeah, my thing is like a poppy at night with dinner. It's like that's my go-to.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Or sparkling water with lime.
Yeah.
Cool! Cool beans! Let's get on with it!
I have to ask about the RSV video.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's so funny because we were watching the show and
Yeah.
I'd seen this video, it feels like forever ago.
It was forever ago. Because my son's almost 3, so now 3 years ago.
And my mind was blown when I put together that person in that video was
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
My brain is still trying to wrap
Meaning, that was so atrocious that I can't believe that you did that.
around that.
Yeah.
But I just...
Why does everybody's studio look like this? Like, is there a person that's just going around building podcast studios like, hey, I own the most bland thing you can find and just make it in my studio place. Thanks. We want some green corduroy chairs.
have to ask, because in the show, I think this is something a lot of people are wondering, so I just wanted to open the floor to you. In the show, Demi says
Demi.
that, the only reason you posted that video was for clout.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
That's true. She did it for attention.
When we did the ketamine treatment,
She just got done saying she doesn't drink coffee or soda, can't do drugs. When we did the ketamine thing,
I'd never done that. It was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And I was told to think of something I wanted to work through. And I had a playlist. I think you're under it for about 30 minutes. Oh, I don't remember. Very, very dark. I'm in that moment when my son did.
Is she going to blame what she did on ketamine? Is she really about to do this? She's going to blame making the shitty video on ketamine. Yes!
I'm sitting in what felt like a 500 square foot room. It's just me and my son.
That's
and trying to find any glimpse of happiness, because I'm also going, even now, through hormonal changes. I just had a baby.
Just say I was a dickhole for doing it. I shouldn't have done it. Don't blame ketamine and like hormones. You have to physically set up a tripod, practice the same dance move over 50 times while your kid sleeps there, and wear a Nirvana sweater. Braid your hair. There's no. You don't get to blame anything on anything else but your own damn selfishness.
And I'm on ketamine, and I'm going through that, and
She's blaming ketamine. She's blaming ketamine.
Reading such like hurtful and hateful messages about myself. And I'm sitting.
And here's what you do. They would literally go do ketamine before just getting off the internet. These people they would rather just honestly go do ketamine treatments and shitty dances. If you don't like what people are saying about you on the internet, change who you are, right? Get better yourself, I guess is a better way of saying that. Or get off the internet. You'll be forgotten in a week. Get off the internet.
In that space, and I'm believing it. And so I'm coming out of this.
Sad, ketamine sad.
Saying all of these things. Like, I am a horrible person. I did do this for clout.
You are.
I don't remember everything I said, but I don't believe everything I said. That was so dark. And I do believe that when you read.
Wait, is she saying she came to terms with this after? Wait, what?
So much hate about yourself, you can believe it. And that's what was happening.
You should believe it.
And I didn't do it for clout. If anything, and if you had been following me like ahead of time, that was something I normally already did.
No one does that.
I'd respond to a comment and do a little dance. For everyone to say that I was twerking, oh my gosh, I wasn't twerking.
Pretty much twerking.
In that video, but my son was getting better, and I made a video. I was in my happy space.
Then why don't you just say, my son had RSV, he's getting really good, so I'm celebrating it right now. Why don't you just say that?
And I would have never made that video if it had turned into what it turned into.
Yeah.
Which just,
Obviously.
it makes me sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should make you sick. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And you deserve... See, again, you want to know what your legacy is going to be when you leave behind, when you come on the internet and be an influencer? Every one of them is going to do something stupid. And now that is going to be your legacy that your child has to live through. So if you do porn on the internet, that's a legacy that your child will have to live through, okay? If you're going to go on and throw chairs at them, get arrested, and it's going to be public, that's going to be your public legacy now, okay? Your legacy isn't going to be any of the good things you did. It's going to be all the shitty shit you did, okay? That's just the way it's going to be. Matt and Abby, most recently, just went on a cruise and left their children in their staterooms while they FaceTimed the monitors. That's now their legacy, okay? Doherty doesn't, and the crazy things that she did and the kids that have come and gone, that's her legacy. Feeding her kids nothing but garbage and poison, that's her legacy. Okay, Jess Fam and Chris essaying her best friend, that's their legacy. The threesomes and all the sexual shit, that's her legacy. Getting fights at restaurants, that's her legacy. If you want to be an influencer, understand this. The worst thing you're ever going to do is going to be what's left over when you're done. That's it.
Do you now, not in that moment, now, remove, a few years, right?
Yeah.
A few years removed from it, do you see the video and understand how
Cringe.
it could have come across insensitive to some people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what she just admitted. She would never have done it. And she knows.
Absolutely. Again, I mean, with the same, you think I would have learned my lesson by now. The same thing with sharing the text messages with Macy. Like,
No one cares about that.
sometimes you just don't think. And I wasn't in a space, obviously, to be thinking.
Then maybe you shouldn't be an influencer if you don't think about things.
I was just doing what
One of your eyebrows is way too high than the other one.
felt like I normally do. And then it turned into what it was today, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, looking back, watching the show, seeing, like, not many people get to see their arguments and confrontations with their friends. Like,
Yeah.
not many people get to have that
True.
bird's eye view
Yeah.
I don't want to watch mine.
onto these conversations. And, I'm curious if, you watching these back and learning, listening. I don't know if you've like listened to, you know, how the other girls feel.
Oh, I forgot to take drinks
now,
every
like,
time she says,
post-show,
you know.
and them like sharing their thoughts and opinions, you know, of you and whatever it may be. When you watch those moments back, is there anything that have you learned anything about yourself and maybe like, oh, I do like, when I say this, it does kind of sound like that. I kind of feel like I need to work on that.
I don't know what question. She draws out her questions so badly by the time, like, maybe it's my ADD. It's got to be. But I forgot. I don't know what she asked. Just ask the question.
Yeah, I'd love to communicate things better because I never meant to separate myself as like I hate you or I want you to hurt. If anything, I need to hurt myself. It was for me. That boundary was for me because again, I can't control what other people do. I can only control what I can control, and that was probably the biggest thing. I mean, look at even now. I hadn't talked to Macy until this morning, and how nice that would have been if I would have just responded to her because she did reach out to me, and I just wasn't in a space to even respond to her. But how nice it would have been if I would have had that conversation earlier. All of that hurt wouldn't have even happened. I already know it.
Yeah.
My pride can get in the way, and sometimes I don't want to have a conversation. Sometimes I think that's easier. But then in the end, once you have the conversation, even with your spouses, you're like, well, it was easier just to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many times, you know, time can be so dangerous. Like, you know, we've experienced this with friends and stuff. And, you know, just when so much time goes by.
Because you start assuming.
Yeah.
You start making assumptions.
Both sides, you know, brains start to create these storylines.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. And they're doing it too.
And then it's 10 times worse, you know? Then when you finally have the conversation, you're just like, wow, I really wish I wouldn't have waited this long and I would have just had it back then. It would have been a whole lot easier.
Amen. Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know?
This is just an observation, and I'm curious if you relate to it at all. From me looking in, and of course, you know, again, what I'm seeing is an edit, so an observation. It almost feels like to me sometimes when there is even like a slight potential like conflict or argument, you.
He's like, fucking ask the question. Sorry, it's funny. I'm sure she's nice.
Almost self-sabotage it and hurt yourself before the other person can do anything.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you do that at all?
Like almost deflect?
Yeah, or even just try to be like, you know, people see it in like their like partner relationships of like, you know, you're dating someone, it's going great, I'm gonna like end it and cut it off before they can like hurt me.
Oh, wait, wow. I think if there was more context in the show, it wouldn't
Just, hey, do you think that you self-sabotage? That's the question right there. That's it.
been perceived that way. But watching it as a viewer as I did, absolutely. I could totally see how it would be viewed that way.
Yeah.
But again, my intent was never, you know, what was me playing a victim? It was, I'm
Shut up. Yes, it was, Whitney. It was. You played the victim the whole time. You want people, why are you in the group chat? Shut
right
up.
now, I need to separate myself.
You're such a liar.
Because if anything,
She's lying. She doesn't take responsibility for anything.
didn't want to hurt anyone. I was worried that I was going to hurt someone. I just hurt someone.
Yeah.
With me sharing
Demi.
personal information that had been asked for me not to share. And I felt like it was the healthiest thing. And then I needed to communicate that better, obviously, rather than just leaving the group chat, because that's what I did. I just peace out and left with no context. So of course people are going to make assumptions and assume.
What you should have done was like, hey, bitches, I'm out. Then left.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know?
If there is a season 2, would you do it?
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
See, she's doing it. So she's sitting here on this podcast the whole time being like, oh my God, they're so bad to me. And well, guess they'll wait and say.
Don't we love that answer?
Such a liar. If it really affected you the way it did, so that means this whole podcast has been a damn lie. And they should have called you out. They should have followed up a question and been like, it sounds like you shouldn't do this if it's bad for your mental health and your marriage and that you can't be there. Why would you do another season? Why doesn't it follow up? Why would you do another season? Sounds like from this interview, you hated the experience.
I guess this is a 2-part question. Have you watched any of the press or podcasts that the girls have done?
I try and stay away from it. There have been stuff that other friends will send me because they know more of what we talked about today. But I really try and stay away from it because I'm human and it does hurt.
She watches it. If you're on the internet and you have people talking about you, you're watching it. Okay? It's just, you're doing it. You're a narcissist. Your whole world is online. You need people to talk about you because it brings money to you. You're watching it.
And again, I think it's just I don't know. I wish I had the answer. A miscommunication. I don't know.
Yeah. Is there anything, they have spoken their feelings, towards you. Is there anything you would like to like openly say to them?
No. Bitches.
No, I
bitches be wildin' or whatever.
think if there was, then I would probably say it to them personally. Yeah. I can't think of anything. I mean, the things that they've said
Oh, Whitney.
are, at least from what I've heard.
It doesn't even look like her name should be Whitney. I'd say more like Kate or like a Junimber,
Are more so like, I don't know if you can swear on this, but like calling me a bitch or something, or an attention seeker or stuff like that.
You are, and both, yes. They all are.
I think they're just angry.
It should just be called Bitches Who Think They're Mormon show. Part 2.
Yeah.
And there's no conversation as to why they're so angry.
Do you feel like you would want to have that conversation with them?
Yeah, I think that it would be helpful.
And we will. It's season 2. We're getting paid more.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Such a
Taylor's like,
shitty
let's
interview.
get everyone on. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that would be.
No, I know. I'm just curious. Like, it's interesting to watch. Some of the girls like say, like they don't like desire a friendship with you. Like, they're done with whatever. But I'm sure they, have feelings of hurt and maybe haven't felt heard from you, and like their feeling is, they're allowed to feel that. And I'm just like curious how. I guess this is just my brain. How does that work? Like when you guys are a part of the friend group, but is it a friend group, but you're on a reality show together? Like how?
They're not friends. They're on a reality television show together. They're not friends.
How
They're acting together.
do you foresee that? Like
How would that like be navigated?
How do you continue?
yeah.
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 That's the question. You just said you hate everybody. Everybody hates you. You hate the way they did the show. And you're going to be on season 2? You know what? She's probably just going to embrace her villainy.
I mean, it has to be mutual, right? Like, if you want to have a relationship with someone, it has to be from both ends. And going into this, the people that I was closest to was Macy and Michaela, by far. And then more women joined this cast, and then we became closer as time went on.
That's what it is. It's not a friend group. It's a cast.
But
Hurry up!
I don't know.
I'm going
I have the
140.
answer, but I will say I have no ill feelings towards them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you do. Otherwise, you'd watch their videos on you.
And I wish I knew like the exact moment that it went so sour, because I don't know what that moment
I tell you the moment. I told you already.
was or is.
Yeah. And if they were willing
I think going into the show, as soon as people found out you were the RSV lady, that they hated you. That's probably what it is.
to have that conversation with you, are you willing to have that
Yeah.
with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
On camera, for money.
I will say one thing that I think that they were very upset about is me not attending Macy's event, but then going to Michaela's birthday party at the very end.
Spoiler alert, I haven't seen that yet.
When you're on a production, there's beats that you're expected to show up at. And that was one that I was expected to show up at. But what's not shown in that scene is how emotional I was. I had to. I knew those women were going to be upset with me showing up. I like separate myself in a room, compose myself before going back out
With toilet paper on your face?
to have that conversation with Macy, but which you don't see in the edit. But that was hard. That was really hard. And I know that they were upset, and I knew going into that they would be upset, and it just sucked. I hate that was
Why don't you just tell them, hey, the producers are making me do this?
circumstance.
Yeah.
But it was. So to me, I'm like, well, maybe that's what it is, that moment. But again, it wasn't like I had some plan to make that happen.
Yeah.
That was never,
Yeah.
it wasn't some preconceived plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That just happened.
Yeah.
She's under contract not to talk about how they do this.
For me, just like watching, like, it in my mind, like watching, it is like you, Macy and Michaela, and like, it is a bum. Like, I am just meeting you. You seem lovely. I've followed Michaela on social media. She seems lovely. Like, I have no like sides, but like watching from a viewer, I'm like, I wish, like, I hope one day like that friendship could be mended.
Yeah. I would say that's probably
That's a no-go.
when in the scene where we're at Layla's divorce party, and I confront Jessie, and she's telling me, all of these things that these women are saying about me. I can't remember if I went into detail.
Divorce party? Who's having a party for divorce? What?
Or not in the actual
Divorce party? Is that a thing?
edit. But what hurt the most was that Michaela had
I'm
also
gonna have when I have my get snipped. I'm gonna have a party. I'm gonna cake. Divorce party. What?
Joined in on that conversation because I thought we were good. I thought we were great. I just like felt so blindsided and confused. Like I didn't even know what was real and what wasn't real at that moment.
Yeah.
And even now, we've had conversation. Even after the show, reached out to her. Like sent her a message. Like I hate how things turned out. You know, so sorry with how things turned out. But she's obviously
Let's
still
go.
upset. And I don't fully know why.
Yeah.
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 Before we wrap up, first of all, I just want to
yeah,
ask:
yeah.
is there anything else that you want to say that we didn't cover?
Oh,
Just wanted to
let's
give you
listen
that
to
opportunity.
No, I generally
Taylor
am very
Lautner
grateful.
said 16 words on this entire podcast.
Creating a safe space. I really appreciate it. I love talking to you guys.
This is so boring.
Taylor and Taylor.
Tay-tay.
Yeah. No.
The Tay-tay squeeze.
Which I don't know how you guys do that. That would, oh my gosh. I love it.
We're very thankful for you coming on.
Okay, no more of the blowing smoke up ass part. I'm done with that. Anyway, there you go, everybody. The stupid interview Whitney did. It's a cop out. She copped out the whole time. It was very boring. That's not what they were probably expecting. It's super boring. That was dumb. But we played with some toys and we made fun of people. So that's what we do around here. It was good. Now I'm going to go watch episode 5 live with you guys, probably on Rumble. It's been fun doing that. I enjoy doing that. Watching it with other people. It's really fun. So, everybody, take a deep, shitney breath. Bullshit! That whole podcast. Garbage. Take a little responsibility. Maybe people will respect you a little bit more there. Shitney face. Idiot. You're not an idiot, and you're not a shitney face. You're lovely, incredible, and valuable. Don't you forget it, and I'll see you when I see you.